everyone. Happy Wednesday. From July, we'll be doing our Facebook Lives on the first, or rather, this is the second week of July. Second week of July, the second Wednesday, as well as the fourth Wednesday. That's when we'll be doing our Facebook Live going forward. So look forward to that. And we also have some interesting things happening that I wanted to share with you. We are going to be bringing in other practitioners, Ayurvedic doctors, dentists who are holistic, um, certain NLP coaches, and so on and so forth. So we have a lot of things happening that's quite exciting. So we're going to be bringing in more and more information for you with each of our Facebook Lives. So we have a little bit of time in between to prepare for your next Facebook Live. So I'm quite excited about that. So today, as we have the Texas COVID-19 cases increasing, we see this every day in the news. One of the things that I'm also noticing is that we are seeing a lot more patients with anxiety. So, and I understand. It's not that I don't understand. It's very difficult. It's in a situation where so many of us feel afraid for our own lives, or for our children's lives, or for our parents' lives. Sometimes our parents are living farther away from us, or they don't really have any help, and maybe they have some pre-existing conditions that actually, according to the news, makes them much more vulnerable to getting sick, and or even actually having really some severe complications. So I understand that a lot of people are anxious at this time. So what can we do? So should we just accept that this is normal because we are in the situation, and that our mindset depends on situation? Should we just accept that and just live with it, or should we do something about it? So I invite you to post your comments on this, as well as what you are feeling right now. If you're feeling calm, if you're feeling happy, if you're feeling more anxious, and what are the things that you are doing to help yourselves keep your mindset. So I invite you to write those comments there so that other people can also benefit from it, because here I am going to give you some tips to help you feel better. Because I don't know if you have noticed this, many times when we physically feel tired, if we have our mindset on doing certain things, we absolutely can do anything. But when our mindset is not great, even physically, if we have the energy, we don't necessarily feel energetic or fresh to do anything. We feel mostly drained. Have you noticed this? So if this is the case, mindset is everything, isn't it? For us to function today, for us to take care of ourselves, for us to be able to eat better, for us to take care of other people who are even sick or who may get sick, we need a lot of energy. And most of our energy comes from our mind rather than our body. If you notice a child, and we all know this, that children have more energy than us. Wouldn't you agree? Our own kids, they probably eat a very small portion, but they are just energetic 24/7. And most of us call our children energizer bunnies. So obviously that means that they have a lot of energy, even though they eat less than us. How is that possible? So if food is the only source of energy, and if it is something that's in our body, and we have a bigger body than our children as well, then shouldn't we have more energy than our children? So, hi Kiran. So obviously it is not just in our body. So I'll have to tell you this, that your energy depends on your mindset more than your physical capacity. Of course, there are patients who have hypothyroidism, patients who have different kinds of problems, which actually makes them drained or less energy. And even in those patients, I would say that if they have the right mindset, they are going to be able to do so much more than if they felt depressed, or if they felt anxious, or if they felt fearful. And this is always the case. In the 17 years I've been practicing, I've noticed this to be the pattern pretty much on a regular basis. And that is the reason why I make it a point to talk about this, from time to time, so that we can actually have a good mindset. So with all of this happening, should situations decide our mindset? What do you think? Or should we decide our mindset? That's actually an important question. Why? Because it's always, anything that you do starts with a decision. If we decide that our situations decide our mindset and the day is going to go this way, if this is our decision, then we let everything control us. But if we decide that I am in control of my mindset, then we have something to act on. We have something to work on rather than us reacting to the situation. So there are many things that are out of our control. Like, for example, with the COVID situation, whether people wear masks or not, whether cases are increasing or decreasing. These are all not something that we can control. But what we can control is we take care of ourselves, we take care of our family, we take care of our mindset, and we live more happily, and we do things because of that which are healthy for us as well. So which means it's going to keep us healthy as well, because stress is also an immune modulator versus immune depressor, even rather I should say, not even a immune modulator but an immune depressor. It doesn't even actually make it better, it actually makes it worse. It doesn't just modulate. So obviously if we are feeling more anxious and stressed by the situation that's happening, it also predisposes us to having infection more often than not. So why would we want to do that for our health as well? Obviously we don't. But most of us don't know what to do. We don't have solutions. All we have is a problem, and because we have this problem, we just feel that we need to react this way, we need to act this way internally, and that is the reason why we do that. So it's very important to know that situation has nothing to do with your mindset. It is just that this situation right now just intensifies who we are more. That's it. So if we are somebody who already feels scared easily, then the situation makes it much more intensified. If you're a person who gets angry more easily, then this just intensifies that more. If you're a person who's happy, then you're going to find things to be happy about. So it is not necessarily the situation, but who we are already. So some of the things that I wanted to tell you about how we can actually move from this position to feeling more calm, feeling more peace, feeling more happy, and being able to stay in this state until all of this passes, because one day this too shall pass. This is not going to be forever, for sure. Okay, just like many of the pandemics that have happened before, this too shall pass. So we just need to take care of ourselves until then. Because one other thing is that it's not just about now, it's not just about the COVID. The kind of effect that we have right now internally as well as externally is also leaving a lot of fingerprints on our body, okay, footprints on our body rather, which means that there are chemical footprints left which can make us sick long term. And then we are also leaving emotional footprints. So we are actually making people outside of us also feel more scared, because we are sending that energy, we are creating this kind of a low energy frequency, and we are sending it out to our children. Now our children are more likely to be scared and feel insecure and so on and so forth. So this has a ripple effect. And of course, we don't want this to happen. We want to change this. So what are the things that you can do today? Okay, there are, of course, herbs that can help tremendously with anxiety. Okay, one of the things that I'm actually going to show you today is this. This is called as the cortisol manager. It has a proprietary blend of ashwagandha. It also has amino acid called as the L-theanine. It also has magnolia bark, and there is another one called as the aerial bark. So there is a lot of things that it has which actually helps you feel more calmer. So this is called as the cortisol manager by Integrative Therapeutics. This is something that we use pretty successfully to help people kind of feel more calmer in general. Okay, there is another one that we use as well. This is called as the Nerve X. This is from New Human, and this is actually more of energy and vibration that's actually frequencies in the medicine. And what this does is it also helps people feel more calmer. Magnesium is another one that actually helps us relax more. So if you're feeling extremely anxious, these are some things that I want you to be able to use, and they're completely natural. They don't have any ill effects to using them, so that you can feel more, in control of yourself, which means that you're going to be able to take better care of yourself and your loved ones. But one thing that, other than the medicines and supplements that you can take, there are some things that you can do. And those are, the first thing is, know that wherever your focus goes, that's where your energy flows. Which means that if, let's say, your focus is on how many cases in Texas are increasing, and how many people are not wearing masks, how many people are not really taking care of things or doing their civic responsibility, or how many people are actually spreading this, and so on and so forth, then you are going to feel more anxious, because those are all out of your control. But if you focused on, I am happy, I am healthy, right here, right now, I have food on my plate. If you have a job, then you can actually focus on the fact that you have a job, which is not many people's life right now. So many people have lost their jobs. So there are so many things that's happening in your life that you can be totally grateful for. So if you focus on those things, then you shift away from anxiety to being in the present moment, to be able to enjoy what's happening in your life at this time. And this is very important, because we think that anxiety just happens. Anxiety happens by, of course, chemical imbalances in your brain, but also by our focus on an ongoing basis. So just like when you, let's say you're actually looking at some food that you really, really love on TV, or even somebody just describes it to you, you start salivating. And the reason why you start salivating is because our mind does not know the difference between experiencing something and just thinking about it. There's no difference at all. So for even thoughts, your body starts producing chemicals, a physiological change in response to just thoughts even. So if that is the case, when we start focusing on all the wrong things, are we going to have chemical changes in our body that's going to make our brain not feel, imbalance? Most likely, right? And that is the reason why I said you can also shift your focus away from the things that you cannot control to the things that you can control. So what are the things that you can control? You can control how you eat. You can control how your family exercises. You can control how your children get vitamin D. You can control how active they are. You can actually control how much water they are drinking. You can control how many vegetables and fruits they are eating in a day. So these are all the things that's in your control. So if you start focusing on those kinds of things and you just take care without panicking, then one, you are more likely to protect yourself, right? And even if it happens, your body is more likely to be able to take care of itself without having to worry about it or come down with a really severe problem. And the other thing is that you're not going to feel more and more and more anxious, because anxiety doesn't really help us, but actually makes it worse, makes everything worse, right? Just like, yesterday one of my patients said this, and my heart went out to her. She said that, I can't function. Sometimes I just feel like the energy is just draining out of me because I feel so anxious. And my heart goes out to her. And this is what I want to tell every single person who's actually suffering with this, that you have a choice. Make a decision that I will not live like this one more day. And my situation will not control how I think, how I feel. I will be the boss of me. Once you made the decision, every time you have a thought or you're focusing on the things that makes you anxious or makes you feel uncomfortable, then you move your focus away from that into the things that you can control. And it is one thought at a time. It's not something that you make a decision and you don't ever think about. It's every time it comes, you have to make a decision and you have to do that. It is just like brushing your teeth. When you started brushing your teeth, there was a lot of resistance. You didn't necessarily like to brush your teeth when you were a child. But then eventually now you keep brushing your teeth and you don't even think about it. You know that you have to do it every day. Nobody has to tell you to do it. You just go grab your brush, put toothpaste on it and start brushing. And probably you do it 2 or 3 times a day even now. Why? Because you know that this is actually beneficial for you, and it has become so easy because you've practiced it for so long. So what you need to do is practice something consistently and patiently so that you will be able to get to that point where it's very easy for you to focus on the right things. But until then, it needs to be practiced, because practice is the mother of mastery. So if you don't practice it, it's not going to suddenly happen one day. And another thing that I also want to talk about is journaling. So journaling can be an amazing tool. See, our mind is so jumbled with so many thoughts most of the time that we don't even know sometimes why we feel anxious. Okay, we just guess that this is probably why I'm feeling anxious, but we don't necessarily know, because we have had so many thoughts that it's very hard to pick out one needle out of the haystack. So the journaling itself that people used to do, all the time back in the day, was because of this. It was something where you actually take your thoughts from your brain and then put it on paper. And I don't know if you have ever noticed it, even if you have a task list that you need to complete, once you write it on paper, you don't constantly obsess over it, because you know that you're going to remember it. Or even if you don't remember it, you can always look at the paper and check it after that, right? So that makes it so much easier, so that your brain doesn't have to keep thinking over and over and over again the same thing, lest you forget it. So the same way, when we journal, what it does is you're actually taking your fear, anxiety, and so on and so forth, and you're putting it on paper. And when you do that, your brain kind of starts to let go of those things, and it doesn't keep going in cycles and keep thinking about the same thing over and over and over again. And because thoughts create feelings. So if you have thoughts that make you feel like, I don't know what's going to happen, who's going to die, how horrible it is going to be, whether I'll have a job, I won't have a job. If you start thinking about these kinds of thoughts, obviously you're going to not feel well. You're going to feel anxiety, fear, sadness, anger, frustration, and so on and so forth. But if you have thoughts of, I am protected, I am healthy, my family is protected, my family is healthy, which is probably true if you don't have COVID right now, because you don't have it right now, which means that you are protected, you are actually healthy right now. So that is where our life is. The life is in this moment. It is not in tomorrow. It is not in the day after tomorrow, but it is in this moment. And if we just bring our focus to that moment, it will actually give us a lot of clarity and give us a lot of peace, because most of us have a roof over our heads. Most of us have food on our plates. Most of us have a refrigerator with food stored. Most of us have a pantry with food stored. And most of us have a job which pays. So, and we have our family and friends alive. And, a lot of times in these situations, these are the places that we need to go to in order for us to pull ourselves out. And one other important thing is to not keep listening to news and the media about COVID over and over again, because if you do that, you're automatically going to feel more upset. You're going to feel more fearful. You're going to feel more scared. This is what is going to happen. So limit all of those things. We don't need to know every single case that actually has been tested positive. It is not going to change our life. We need to take care of ourselves, but at the same time not make this into our whole life. So start journaling. And one of the other things that I would say is, when you journal, and if you notice that you're having a lot of these thoughts that make you feel not so good, I want you to flip those thoughts. For example, if it says, oh, I'm going to get COVID, if this is one of the thoughts that you have and you're writing it down, then I want you to flip that thought and say that I am protected, I am healthy, which is probably true right now, because you don't have COVID. If you don't have COVID, then you are healthy. So that's what you want to write it down as well, and then start making that into your mantra. And mantra is something that you repeat over and over and over again. Right now your mantra is that I am fearful, I am scared, I'm anxious. Let's change that mantra to I am healthy, I am safe, I am protected, my family is protected, my family is healthy, my family is safe, and we are taken care of. If we change that into that mantra, eventually you are actually going to be much more likely to feel more peace and joy rather than this way. Our thoughts do decide our destiny. So you have the power to change your destiny by just changing your thoughts. Okay? So, thank you, Neha. So, I love you all. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I want to hear from you as to how you guys are doing. Okay? If there are anything that you're doing specifically to help yourself at this moment, as well as in the past, that would be very helpful for other people as well, because not one person knows everything. We all have many different ways of doing things, and every single thing is absolutely important. So thank you for joining me today, and please post your comments on the video as to how you are taking care of everything and what are the steps that you are going to take today if you do suffer from anxiety, so that you're going to feel better. Okay, so I wish you health and happiness and a lot of peace. Okay, until the next time, adios.